Hey there, welcome to the Fast Forward podcast, the show about real stories, not polished highlight reels. We talk about the wins, the failures, the pivots, and the things people don't post on LinkedIn. This is a space for honest conversations about building, growing, and adapting. Today, I'm joined with David Arato from Lexicon Legal Content, and he is here today to talk about his business and their story. Hello, David. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for having me.
You've been around with Lexicon Legal Content for more than a decade, long before content marketing for lawyers was mainstream. What gap did you originally see in the legal industry?
That's a really good question. I think it goes back to my personal story. So, when I graduated from law school and I was studying for the bar, I started writing content on a freelance basis for an agency based in St. Louis where I'd gone to law school. And I quickly realized A, I was pretty good at it. B, there was a huge market for this that wasn't geographically dependent on law licensure or being in a particular place at once. Also realizing that the market had a huge gap. So there were agencies and law firms that were desperately seeking content writers with legal training. No one really was doing it at the time. So leveraging the JD into being able to write accurate and compliant content, then moving from that model, me being a freelancer,
Mhm.
to an agency was just the next natural step. And also, I got too busy for just myself. So we had to grow
Right.
some. Yeah.
Right. So you've been vocal about the AI shift
Yeah.
and how it's, more prevalent than ever. Can you give me examples of like what law firms are getting dangerously wrong when they try to use AI to replace some of their practices?
Sure, absolutely. The same issues arise in marketing, and I'll get into that. But there have been some super high profile cases of attorneys using AI to do court filings, pleadings, and these pleadings are making up case law. And then you'll ask the AI, is this legitimate case law? And it will confirm that it is when it is in fact not. There have been cases of attorneys getting sanctioned, of losing litigation, getting an adverse outcome in litigation because of AI hallucinations. And like the stakes are too high. Right. And also, so this part doesn't apply to us as marketers, but as an attorney, you have a duty to supervise, whether it's your paralegal or an AI. You can't get work product, put your name on it, and not supervise the output. You are responsible for everything and everything you file with the court, and you're responsible for everything on your website, which is what we do. So yeah, that's how AI has been an issue in the legal sphere.
Right. And that dependency on AI is one thing, it's another thing to forget how to manage it. And then you're starting to put content out there that you wouldn't sign off on typically.
Absolutely.
You have a new role in whatever career you might have if you're utilizing it. It's being the last pair of eyes on it before it gets out.
Well, anecdotally, I'll speak to our experience as content creators for law
Yeah.
firms. The job has changed fundamentally in the past almost 3 years. It is a different job than it was. Right now, we use AI to create better content more quickly and more efficiently for our clients. But someone still needs to be minding the store and running the machine, right? So,
Mhm.
like, there was a time in the olden days, 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, so much has changed.
So, like, let me give an example. Like, well, so let's say we're doing a content sprint for a law firm that's trying to rank well for Denver truck accident attorney, and so we're doing 50 blogs on that term and variations of that term, and trying to corner the space for this keyword term through content. There is a time where we were having to write every call to action on every piece of content by hand. And that's something AI excels at. Take this call to action, keep the value proposition the same, write it 50 different ways. Now, of course, we have to check it, but AI excels at that, right?
Mhm.
What
For
AI
sure.
also doesn't excel at is creating original thought leadership content. It, by definition, the way these models work, they're taking the corpus of data that they've been fed on, ingested rather, and they are pumping out homogeneous content. That is what they're for. And if we all are using homogeneous content, none of it is going to rank well, which in my industry, that's the metric. That's the metric of success. Does this content rank for the relevant search term? And if we're all using the same tools to create the same generic homogenized content, none of it's going to rank.
That's for sure. And you aren't saying that it's a negative to use it. You're saying it becomes an expertise in terms of how and what to use, and whatever you get initially is homogeneous, most likely. You have
Absolutely.
to go in there and tailor it to your brand, to your or whoever you're working for, and ensure that it's still within the realm that we're looking for here, not just a generalized response or answer that you might get from an AI agent.
Absolutely. Without the human touch, it's worthless content, in my opinion. Literally none of it is going to rank. So like we go through, I'll just again anecdotally for what we do, we'll start with a draft that may be 50% generated by AI, but we look at that draft and we add our client's voice to it.
Yeah.
We show flags of locality, like whether that's talking about the local hospitals or courthouses in the market in which our attorneys are in, right? Then we provide information from their bio or their experience, things that the bots can't do, right? Like that's the way I've heard it said and I agree with it. Take what the bot has done and then add something to it.
Yeah, because then we're just all regurgitating the same information.
And that's how the models work.
It's what it's from. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fed off
exactly.
of the input that's been given.
Yeah. So like, and one thing that we've seen working really well is creating new data. And that sounds more sophisticated than it truly is. It can be something as simple as like taking the statistics that you get from your Department of Transportation in your state and looking how many accidents there were in 2024 and how many accidents there were in 2023 and doing some simple math and saying they increased or decreased by this percentage from year to year. By doing that simple math, you're creating new data that A, Google wants to surface, B, the LLMs are eventually going to ingest and spit out. And that's going to earn you a citation because you've added something new to the conversation. Rather than redoing the same tired old blog, Four Things to Do After a Car Accident in Breckenridge, Colorado, which was written millions of times over the
Mhm.
past 15 years, add something new to the conversation and you're going to get cited.
And you've added something tangible to
Yeah,
the topic, and
that's right.
which means it's worth
That's right.
exploring, and you get your citation, like you said.
Correct.
Pretty cool. So, sticking on the same topic,
Yeah.
accuracy versus speed. You call it the verification paradox. The time saved generating content gets erased by editing it. What
Yeah.
does a responsible workflow look like in 2025?
Well, I'm going to have to turn the question around. Where did you find that?
Well, where information is available
Okay, right
on
on.
LinkedIn.
I just posted on LinkedIn about it
Yeah,
recently. Yeah, there was that article. It hasn't gotten a lot of traction, and I think it's fascinating.
me too. That's why I wanted to talk about it.
And the researcher who did that piece was referring to the legal profession specifically, that like lawyers are spending as much time as they would. It's just different work. And this is what I was alluding to earlier in the conversation. The job has completely changed. And I don't think it takes less time for us to create a great piece of content than it used to. That said, it takes us less time to get the first draft out. What does a responsible workflow look like? We need to check, and I think this applies to both legal practice and legal marketing. You've got to check every assertion made in a piece of content or in a brief, whether it's citing case law, citing a statute, historical facts, anything. Like you've got to go through it with a fine tooth comb, especially in a field like law,
Right.
where hypothetically, so in order to be subject to malpractice, you have to have formed an attorney client relationship. So to some extent, I think attorneys might be like, it's on my website. It's not my client's. What if your client does read something on your website and you have an attorney client relationship and that client takes action based on the information on your website and has an adverse outcome? You might be facing a malpractice lawsuit.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. And even if it doesn't go that far, if you have incorrect information on your website, bar complaint, right? Like you're not living up to your ethical duties as an attorney if you are not with a fine tooth comb, checking
Yeah.
every factual assertion made. Whether it's a fact of law, whether it's an assertion of law or an assertion of fact, they all have got to be double checked, triple checked. So what we do in our content creation, like if AI says something like the statute of limitations in Colorado for personal injuries 2 years from the date of the accident, which I really hope I'm getting that right. I don't practice. Um, we will go and we will look at that assertion and we will go to the colorado.gov statutes,
Mhm.
find the personal injury statute of limitations statute and link to it to show authority and that we did our due diligence, that we looked into this, right?
It's funny, the can of worms that AI opens for law. It's one of the most probably polarizing topics in all of law because it is a great spot to start, but when you're forming an actual factual statement, you've
Yep,
really got to vet it
absolutely.
and you got to be careful as a lawyer or even in your position.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the stakes may be a little lower. I mean, they are a little lower for us because we're not representing people's rights and representing them in court. That being said, the liability issue is still the same for our clients. Like, they're getting a bar complaint or a malpractice lawsuit is a big deal, and we
Mhm.
need to do everything we can to make sure that's not occurring. I do think the disruption with AI in the legal profession is going to be much broader than expected, specifically in that I think this partner associate model is on thin ice. Because the model used to be, you're a partner, you hire associates to do quote unquote the grunt legal work.
Yeah.
You receive that work, you review that work, you put your name on that work, and you bill your partner rate while you're paying your associates a salary. AI can do that work really, really well. I feel like
The associates work?
yes, correct. They can do the associates work
The
well. So
lower level grunt work. Yeah.
sure, and I'm going to call it's still legal work, and you still
Yeah,
need
of
a law
course.
license.
I mean, you have to be qualified.
Yeah, totally. And I don't want to disparage that kind of work,
No.
but what I mean is the grind of law practice, the grind of it. And I think what we're going to see is so one, and I don't have empirical data to back this up, so I'm just going to shoot off the cuff here. One talented, well-trained associate with access to AI tools can likely do the output of 3 or 4 associates in the same amount of time. So what happens A to the associate partner model? B, what happens to the billable hour model? Like, let's get out of partner associate. Let's say you're a solo trust and estates attorney and you used to charge 2 grand to create someone's estate plan because of your hourly rate. And now you can create the same estate plan with AI with your oversight in 2 hours. Like, you cannot ethically bill for what you used to bill for.
No.
Right. So, like, there's going to be, I think, deflation in
It's
the
interesting.
value of legal work, downward price pressure. Because I think I've already seen anecdotal stories of clients saying, why don't you just use AI and stop billing me $400 an hour to do this work? Right. And as an attorney, you also have a duty to do the best job you can for your client.
True.
It's
So
disrupt.
it is with the change in the billable hours. How do you foresee those associates to lawyer practice? Like, what happens to those in training of sorts, trying to gain their seniority to become the partner?
Well, I don't know. You want me to prognosticate
Because
here
that's
for
tough.
yeah, it's a really I mean, I'm gonna hedge right now and just say that I see significant disruption in the field,
Sure.
right? That's all I can say because we don't know what's gonna happen. So 3 years ago, when I first played with ChatGPT around Christmas 2022, December 2022 was like
Mhm.
the launch of that
Yeah,
mo
exactly.
the
Correct.
model that really captured the
Almost
public's
3
attention.
years.
Yeah, I'm playing with it in our living room. It's around Christmas, and like we're taking a break from work, and I look at my wife, who's also my business partner, and I said to her, I was like, "I've got to go take the Colorado bar this summer because we're going to be out of business in 6 months." I actually believed that and thought it because I like my mind was so blown, right?
Yeah.
It's like back then our job was write 1,000 words on car accident law in Pennsylvania. So I gave it a prompt similar to that. Write 1,000 words on car accident law in Pennsylvania. And it spit out content that I thought was passable in 30 seconds. And this was something we used to charge $200 for a unit of content like that.
And it wasn't that fast.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
really. Took
Oh,
some
no.
time.
Yeah. So long and short, we are what it's done if I look at like the broad sweep,
Yeah.
it has forced us to become better content creators. It is for like
100%.
it is no longer the case that like we hire a writer who's got impeccable grammar and knows how to infuse a brand voice into a piece of content and we publish it and it ranks well. We have to create content that really, really stands out in terms of providing value to the reader. It's no longer content for content's sake, which unfortunately I think was the case 5, 6, 7 years ago. Google was rewarding sites that just had a vast amount of content on them.
Yeah.
Now it's targeted content that provides real value to the reader, that demonstrates expertise, experience, authority, and trust in Google parlance, demonstrates and aligns with these values. It's forced us to become better content creators. The barrier to entry has become zero, or if you want to make an argument, a $20 a month ChatGPT subscription or Claude subscription, and
Mhm.
then you can create passable content in 5 seconds, right? Barrier to
Yes.
entry becomes zero, but again, back 20 minutes in the conversation, none of it's going to rank. So we have to create better content if we're going to provide value to our clients.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, even for those associates that are, maybe struggling to climb the ladder, so to say, that those same associates also have the capability of creating those workflows for themselves, and I'm not sure how it exactly works in law, but forming their own private firm quicker than they ever would have been able to previously. Like, I feel like for me, AI it's become this vast universe for all the entrepreneurial minds to come out of the woodworks and, like, start pursuing whatever it may be that they wanna do.
Absolutely. Again, I think barrier to entry is a thing, right? No longer do you have to set up your own cold email workflow, right? Like you can automate that, and
100%.
then do the real work that not the real work, I shouldn't say that it's all work, but the highest level work that you can do without being bogged down in the minutia.
The
Yes,
tediousness.
totally. Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally agree.
Yeah, so
I
it has
think
r Go ahead.
I think that AI stands and the unfortunate reality economically is I see AI benefiting subject people who are already subject matter experts more than people who are starting out in their careers. For example, like
Yeah,
with my 15 years of experience in this industry and my JD, I know how to operate the AI in a way to get the result I want because
right.
I already know the industry and what we're looking for. Someone fresh out of law school doesn't have the experience and knowledge that I've gained over that 15 years, right?
Mhm.
Like how do you gain that when AI is doing the job of the
That's
entry?
the
That's
question,
the
actually.
that's the issue.
That's the broad issue
Yeah.
across
I
all
mean,
industries.
all I mean, for society at large,
Not just
right?
work,
Right?
life.
Right? Because like, I read something a few years ago that how do you learn something? How do you really learn something? You write about it,
Yeah.
right? You write about it. That's like you take it, you read something, you read many sources, you synthesize it. I'm talking about college, right? You read all this stuff all semester and you synthesize it and you create a paper with your original thoughts. Like that is learning and like you deeply learn something. But if you don't go through that process, you're not mastering anything. You have superficial surface level knowledge.
On everything.
Exactly.
Not like even if it's your major,
Yep, that's right. Totally agree.
this could be applied to so many things in life.
Yes, absolutely.
Which to me is the really the interesting topic of where this goes, but you would be falling behind if you're not utilizing the tools. So,
Yes, absolutely.
there's definitely a balance. I would say it's probably more difficult for the younger generation because they don't have that, how do I say, backbone or, like the not backbone, but the
Foundation.
foundation to build upon.
Yeah. And then you can skip steps, right? You can skip the steps, like the
Well, and
hard
who's not gonna take the shortcut?
why but and this is like the argument I have in my own head every day, even in my day-to-day work. If I'm struggling with like a response to an email and I'm not using AI to respond to my emails, but if I'm struggling with something, I think
Right.
to myself, I can sit here for 10 minutes and struggle through this, right?
Yeah.
And like work through it. Or I can ask Claude, here's what I'm going for, right? And I struggle with this because like I do not want to lose the
Mm,
critical thinking skills
mm.
that I've developed over my years of life. But I also feel like I have a duty to be the most efficient business person I can, right? To be like, if our metric is going to be like, how much revenue are we generating? If that is our metric, which it is in our society and in business, I need to be efficient. And like, it makes me more efficient. That said, I don't want to lose the ability to think critically and work through stuff. And I'm glad that I lived the first 40 something years of my life having to do that, right?
Yeah.
Because if I was 22 and I had these shortcuts available to me, I don't think I would have become the person I am
No.
today. You know what I mean?
It's almost like we've all become professional proofreaders. Like,
Sure. I totally agree with that.
we have to if you're gonna use it, okay, but when you hit that send button, it becomes you're liable for whatever you just wrote.
That's right.
And even, I've gone through things, I'm like, "Oh, crap, I wouldn't have actually said that," but I was trying to be quick and efficient that
Totally.
I lost the
Which
control.
efficiency is also a noble and valuable goal in business, right?
But it has to represent you.
Absolutely agree.
So let's get into some legal marketing myths. What are the biggest SEO misconceptions attorneys still have? And what do they think matters versus what actually moves the needle?
Okay, fair question. I think that there's still, I alluded to it earlier, still think there's a myth of volume versus quality in content, which might actually be not self-serving for our business, but quality content is better than slapping anything you can at the wall and seeing what sticks. That being said, on the other hand, content freshness seems to be a big ranking factor in the AI overviews. So publishing regularly is important. There's a second part of your question. What actually moves the needle? Remind me.
What do they think matters versus what
Oh,
actually moves the needle?
great. So keep in mind that we don't do SEO writ large. We're in content development. So I don't I'm not going to speak to backlinking and technical SEO. I'm going to
Okay.
speak to content. I see a lot of attorneys say to themselves and to me and publicly, they can just do their own content marketing because they justifiably look at themselves as the experts in their field. They are the practitioners. They are the people in court. They are the people dealing one-on-one with clients who are like they're the closest to their practice as anyone
Yeah.
could be by definition. What doesn't move the needle is writing and publishing and talking in video like an attorney. That is not moving the needle for anyone. And that's why our company exists, to really bridge that gap between legal expertise and communication to a layperson who does not have legal training. And finally, to the third audience, the search engines slash
Mm.
AI platforms. What you think is great writing to a judge or co-counsel or opposing counsel is not great writing
No, it's not.
for the general public. And I see this, especially as attorneys get further and further into practice, because it's an all-consuming profession, right?
Yeah.
I feel like from your first day of law school, you're just kind of launched into this world that like you never look back. There's a before and an after. And I see a lot of attorneys, especially who have been in practice for a while, most of their professional communication is with other attorneys and judges, which almost ruins their ability to communicate with normal
Mm.
human beings, right? Especially in written content. Google and your
Great point.
clients don't want to read a legal treatise. They want actionable information that lets them know they have a legal problem. It's a big legal problem, and they should call an attorney to fix it. Hopefully you, right? Like that is the point of the content. So, and
You're the bridge in
that's fair.
sorts.
I think a lot of attorneys think they're going to move their marketing needle by writing or creating very erudite and robust and legalistic content. But that's not what's going to move the needle. What's going to move the needle is talking to human beings about the problems, identifying what their big problem, what is this person's pain point, and what is going to induce them to call me, right? For a car accident victim, that might be something like, who's going to pay for my medical bills? I'm in the hospital. It's 20 grand a day. I'm going to get out of here in 5 days and owe them $100,000. That's what's on their mind, not whether contributory negligence applies in their case and whether it's 50% or 51% threshold in their jurisdiction, right? Like, I love that stuff. I went to law school. I think it's
Yeah.
interesting to talk about, but if you're in the hospital with a broken femur, you want to know who's paying for your medical bills, right? So that's one big myth. Like the higher level the content is, the better it's going to rank.
The more expert they seem, more people would be willing to just give up or look into their services, essentially.
Yeah, thanks for making my long-winded answer very clear.
And yeah, when you went into the lawyer jargon, I went right over my head. I had no chance of understanding what you were saying.
That's kind of, I think I made the point there, right?
It means nothing to me, but it means everything at the same time.
But that's the point I'm trying to make, is that Google doesn't care and potential clients don't care. You
Yeah,
care as the attorney, and like you want to show off, fine, but is that going to move your marketing needle, back to that analogy,
right.
right? To do that.
Yeah, it's really a critical role for both ends actually, and I can see the need for what you're doing for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, so let's fast forward 3 to 5 years. Where does the legal marketing landscape look like, and do most firms adapt or adopt you, or do you get left behind as
Us
we
as
move?
us as a company?
Well, you or the firms, like,
Oh,
what does the legal marketing landscape look like in the next 3 to 5 years?
sure, fair. It's a really difficult question because this has been the most disruptive 3
Yeah,
years of my professional
it's
life.
changed
It's
so
been
much.
insane. I'm gonna reference Chris Dreyer of rankings.io, his talk at his conference. Google has very deep pockets. And like as disruptive as OpenAI has been, and the chatter in legal marketing and marketing at large about how AI is disruptive to the traditional model of search, find a website, review the website, and make a decision. I don't see Google falling out of this race. I mean, right now, I think OpenAI is accounting for 2, maybe percent of search. What I'm saying is, I think our tactics are going to change. I think we're going to be creating the SEO game. I think is going to be more about creating conversational content, whether it's video content, written content, audio content, whatever, that is responsive to queries that happen more conversationally rather than St. Louis car accident lawyer, right? So the
Yeah,
principles will remain the same in terms of marketing being half technical, half creative in terms of creating content, and
yeah.
then the technical, like back end stuff, the way the website is built, et cetera. I think we're going to have to optimize for different forms of search. is what I'm getting at. I think the consumer behavior is going to change fundamentally as it becomes more and more conversational. The funny thing is, as I talk, I remember that when Alexa first became kind of ubiquitous in people's homes, like the whole thing was like, oh, you got to optimize for voice search. Like people are sitting around their kitchen counter going, hey Alexa, find me a DUI lawyer in Phoenix. Like that didn't happen, but
Yeah.
sorry, my Alexa picked that up.
That's hilarious.
Oh, that's good. Alexa, stop. You can edit this out or leave it in. I think it's a moment. I think it's a good moment of humanity.
That's a viral clip right there.
I love it. Hey, guess what? Now I'm gonna get a bunch of marketing because
There
I'm like,
she is.
they think I have a DUI. The algorithm thinks I have a DUI in Arizona now, and I need a lawyer. This is going to be a great couple days. Anyhow, we thought we had to optimize for voice search. Then I think these models are going to change the way we optimize.
Yeah,
I think that legal marketing is going to be less static, more fluid, more conversational.
100%. And ChatGPT just came out with Atlas, which is the extension
Yeah,
for
haven't played with it yet.
me either.
Yeah,
But
it's
that is the beginning of something new.
yeah, but again, this is what this is what Chris Dreyer said. This I keep going back to this. Like
Yeah,
Google's gonna be hard to beat. They have such market dominance,
yeah,
right? I see OpenAI as like this is the first legitimate challenge
sure.
to Google's dominance, I think, in 30 years. I mean, it was 1995. Is that
Yeah,
Google? I
it's
think it's
been a
about 30
long
years,
time. Yeah.
right? So this is the first like legitimate challenge to their market dominance, and they've got billions of dollars to spend.
And their
And
own Gemini.
yeah, and like if you look at how Google is operating now, it's a hybrid model. So we're optimizing for ourselves. We're getting ourselves in the AI overviews because they're sitting on top of the organic results. They're often sitting on top of the paid ads. So like it's no, I don't think I don't think it's a binary question of do I use ChatGPT or Claude or do I use Google? It's both models now, and I haven't played with Atlas, but I assume it's going to be similarly hybrid. That there's an AI in the background generating an answer to your query, and then it's also serving you. Here's a service provider.
Yeah.
Or a product provider, right? So
Mhm.
it's going to be a hybrid model, not either or.
Right. And it's just gonna have more influence on the SEO market for sure.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, it's fascinating stuff. I mean, we could talk about AI for
Love it.
hours. I think there's so much that's gonna happen, and you just gotta keep climbing that in the mountain of tools and trying to comprehend it in a way that's positive and forward thinking in terms of action for whatever use you have.
Absolutely.
Okay, last question.
You got it.
For the founders, what advice would you give to someone building an agency or service business today, especially in a
Sure.
niche that's being disrupted by AI like yours?
Then there's going to be a two-part answer. Number one,
Okay.
we have been in business 15 years now,
Yeah.
almost officially 13, but we've been operating for 15 years. I ignored the power of in-person marketing. Sorry, in-person networking is what I meant to say for 10 of those years. And it has fun. So because we're a digital marketing agency, right?
Right.
Like by definition, we work online. So I thought, what's the point of going to these conferences? What's the point of getting out there? What's the point of going to the network lunch, of joining the Chamber of Commerce, of any of it? Any of it. And it has changed the face of our business significantly. Like I I was an evangelist about remote work before COVID. I thought that, there's nothing we can achieve by not going in person,
Yeah.
right? That we could achieve everything we could just digitally or online, I should say. It is not true. Like the old fashioned thing of people do business with people they know, like, and trust is a thing. Again, anecdotally, I keep coming back to this word. There were people I was trying to do business with, large agencies that I was trying to get as clients for years, peppering them with emails, even warm introductions from people who knew the owners of these agencies that would go ignored. And then you go to a conference and you have a cocktail together and you shake hands and you share some stories and you might watch some sports on the bar TV. And next thing you know, you have their cell phone number and you're doing business. And 5 years of like attempting to communicate through professional
That's all
channel,
it took.
and all it took was spending the $3,000 to go to the conference, right? And like when you're starting out in business and you look at that $3,000, you're thinking to yourself, why would I spend $3,000 to go to this hotel in Las Vegas and mill around with a bunch of people I don't know?
Yeah. Well, that's
And
why.
that's exactly why. And the $3,000 is not,
It's
it's not,
pennies in comparison to the long-term partnership you just created.
the ROI is 100x for us from conferences to revenue. And I ignored it for a decade and we did fine. right?
Yeah.
But like, if no regrets, but if I'm advising people starting out, go to the damn conference, go there, be
Network.
uncomfortable, network, meet the people, and you don't. And even if someone isn't your target client, if they like you and they in your same industries, they're going to know someone with a need that you can fill.
Hmm.
So don't discount the people who you might feel are maybe just
Right.
adjacent to your target client, or even maybe even their competitors, but they specialize in a different narrow slice, or they just don't like working with someone. They might send you business. So get out there, get your face out there, get your name out there so people know you. When someone says, hey, we've got a law firm that needs a bunch of content, we're building a new website. Well, I know a guy, I met him in Scottsdale last year, right? That's it.
And that wouldn't happen
No,
from an email.
no, what's the principle? Never eat alone, right? Like
Yeah.
never eat alone, and put yourself in a position to be lucky. Like luck, you cannot control luck, but put yourself in the best position to be lucky and to meet the right people and the people who can further your career. Because none of us can do this alone. This is all a collaborative.
Exactly. That's great advice for
Yes.
sure, especially in a digital age to
It's so
remember
easy
that
to hide behind our computers. It's
it
so easy to
really
do.
is.
And it changed the scope of our business. It changed my satisfaction with my professional life, and it has been huge in terms of revenue and growth.
That's
Getting it because
amazing.
people didn't even know we existed, right? As good as your SEO is, as much as you post,
Right.
and you got to show up.
I love that. Speaking of SEO, where can people find you, follow your
Sure.
work, and connect if they want to improve their firm's digital presence?
Absolutely. www.lexiconlegalcontent.com is our website. You can always reach me directly at david@lexiconlegalcontent.com. And I'm super easy to find on all the socials. David Arato, that's Arato. Yeah, I'm all over LinkedIn,
Nice.
Facebook, X, Twitter, whatever it's called these days.
Awesome. Well, thank you, David. It's been a pleasure talking to you and getting to learn more about Lexicon Legal Content and hearing about your story. And looking forward to reconnecting later.
Thanks, Jeff, for having me on. This is great.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Yep.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Stay tuned for more episodes from the Fast Forward podcast every Friday.